Draymond's going through a different situation because it's like, hey, we want to put you in a position to have other players around you to take in those minutes and make you more valuable on the bench or, in spurts. But because they structure their team, he actually have to play. And he's like, hey, man, like, it's frustration. You're getting dogged by guys who you know aren't like all stars, but their skill is just so greater than yours at that point.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and with me today for this Wind Up Wednesday edition, Captain for Life, Will Cotton. Cotton, man, how you doing today, buddy?
Festive and Christmas. I'm loving the holidays. I love this season, so very excited.
Yes, and you will not get yelled at for saying Christmas on the Odd Coaches Podcast. So on today's show, Segment 1, all things NBA, and I'm looking forward to hearing my captain talk about Draymond. Segment 2, we will cover the world of men's college basketball, and in Segment 3, we'll talk about the women's game. But first, OCP Top 10. Will, we're going to go Boston 1, Minnesota 2. They're still winning ball games. The Bucks at 3, 76ers at 4. Magic at 5, they're still winning games. OKC at 6 with those young legs. Dallas at 7, Denver at 8, the Kings at 9, and again, keep them away from my wife, but that guy can coach the Rockets at 10.
Yeah.
Quick 65 game club analysis, and I'd like to get your thoughts first on the East. Boston, Bucks, 76ers, Magic, Knicks, and Pacers are the top 6 right now early in the season. Miami, the Nets, the Hawks, the Cavs, the Raptors. That looks like all of the teams that are going to be in the playoffs, and one team ain't going to make it. The Bulls are going to sell assets in about 3 weeks. And the Hornets, Wizards, and Pistons are just bad, but at least Monty is getting paid. Anything going on in the East that catches your eye?
The Wizards got a win on Friday. It was a big win for them. I know they come very few in between, but it was a good win for them. Good in seeing how they played, and Jordan Poole played pretty well, and Kyle Kuzma played pretty well. So they see glimpses of flashes that they like. If they're a bad team, I still think they're a bad team, but other than that, everything else looks solid. Unfortunately, the Wizards are going to lose Kuzma and Jordan Poole to better teams who can make the playoffs and make a run. But yeah, man, I'm also surprised Pistons are as bad as they are. I thought they were going to make that jump into the, that between we're going to sell assets, but we're also like fighting for the play-in, and they just not get. I mean, I guess, but I thought they were going to be better than they are.
All right, so on the West, Minnesota, Denver, OKC, Dallas, Kings and Rockets are the early top 6. Clippers, Lakers, New Orleans, and Suns are the play-in teams as of now. Golden State and Memphis will keep it interesting, especially with Ja Morant returning. Utah, Portland, and San Antonio are just playing games. But again, people are going to start paying attention shortly. Anything in the West catch your eye, sir?
I think the Clippers are going to creep into the top 6. I guess they found out their rhythm. They found out, Russ better working off the bench. Harden is going to be running the show. Excuse me. I think they're kind of figuring it out as they move forward, and they're going to start getting a lot of easy wins for a lot of bad teams too. So they're going to get all the rest too. And I think Memphis will be good enough to get into the play-in. I think they're going to make they're going to make a push. Again, young legs, coach. So, at the end of the day, that's the best thing that you can have. Is just you ain't going to have it next year. So, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting. And unfortunately, Utah, Portland, and San Antonio, everybody's loving Wemby, but they are bad. But
Wemby's getting reps, though. Wemby is getting reps.
Yeah, valuable reps. That's all you need.
Okay. So, Will, Draymond Green didn't have the best week. And I am very fond of saying that membership has its privilege. In my coaching career, I've had very few suspensions of players for various reasons. I only suspended Fowler in one game, but made it such a big production that I didn't have to do it again. And at Hood College, we had a player who had trouble getting to practice early, but he was such a good player that we modified practice times and made some adjustments. So it was a win-win situation. But the Golden State Warriors are starting to have a problem with distractions. And right now, Draymond is a distraction. They need what he brings, but he's not available. And they picked him over Jordan Poole. So they told Draymond that he was special, but he's suspended indefinitely for a multitude of actions. So, Will, you've been in the locker room with some challenging personalities. What are your thoughts on Draymond right now?
I think it's one of those things when you're like a utility defensive kind of guy, you start losing that ability. It comes out in different ways. Sometimes get some guys get hurt. Sometimes guys focus on being the bench leader. Some guys, just kind of fade away until they can't play anymore. Draymond's going through a different situation because it's like, hey, we want to put you in a position to have other players around you to take in those minutes and make you more valuable on the bench or, in spurts. But because they structure their team, they actually have to play. And he's like, hey, man, like, it's frustration. You're getting dogged by guys who you know aren't like all stars, but their skill is just so greater than yours at that point. I feel bad. It's like seeing old punch drunk boxer, man, just old beat up. When you go out there, like it's, I hope he can find his mantra or
His
find what he's
mojo.
working. Yeah, I mean, I think he has great value being a Jawan Howard, a Haslam, but they had to put other guys around him, and they didn't because they paid him, so they're kind of stuck. So either way, he's going to get a bag anyway. So whether he plays or not, they got to
They're,
cut the check.
they're not going anywhere fast. As we say often, it rarely ends well. It doesn't usually end with a championship. The Warriors, they're going to struggle to make the play in, and these other teams are playing boring basketball, which is the best compliment I can give. So we'll be tracking the Warriors as we will, but they're not a major impact type team anymore. And it's sad watching them unravel in front of us, but it rarely ends well.
And they're
Fi-
catching up to them too. The defenses are catching up to the Warriors too. Like, before there was an enigma. They were like, oh, this team that fires threes and, move quickly and make great defense and transition and they can, spread the floor. And, that stuff caught up. That stuff is caught up. Youth, changing the game, how the defense happens. So, I mean, it's just a transition,
yeah,
man. It's just,
it happens. Finally, for the NBA segment, the Washington Wizards are moving. The Washington Wizards are planning to move to Northern Virginia. DC loses because it was an anchor tenant for 41 home games for basketball. Same thing for hockey, but I'm not going to talk about the Caps. I ain't mad at them. Plus other events. DC, like other cities, has a crime problem. I do remember when the phone booth opened. That's what we used to call the MCI Center. I remember taking young William Cotton and his teams to watch the Lakers play with top-notch seats. Bring
oh,
a
yeah.
tissue when you come.
Yep.
But Ted Leonsis is a businessman, and when he bought the team, he had a lease, so there's no need to move. But most of his businesses, if not all of them, are based out of Northern Virginia. And if he has the opportunity to build his own Jerry World type structure, one of the best stadiums I've ever been in, by the way, he's got the right to do it. The Wizards have played in Maryland at the old Cap Center, and I used to go there too, unsupervised. Kids don't do that anymore. They play in DC, and now they're going to play 4.4 miles away or whatever it is. But those are dog year miles if you live in the DMV. DC needs them more than the Wizards need DC, but nobody owes anybody anything. And if you win, they come. You're just not going to win anytime soon. Will, what are your thoughts on the Wizards and the Caps moving possibly to Northern Virginia? The ink's not dry, but it may as well be.
The funny thing is the demographic is I'm getting different like tones from different people. So a lot of Caps fans are thinking like, oh, Virginia, oh, bet that ain't no problem for me. I don't got to go over here. I don't got to worry about the parking, the crime, like you said. They're like, cool. They're not as upset. It's our people. It's the Black community. We're upset. We're losing a basketball team, an NBA professional team. That's upsetting for us. Um, yeah, but the worst part about it, everyone's like, they still suck. Whatever, it don't matter. Da, 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 da. But it's still like you lost and there's a lot of animosity. And I think unfortunately, the people who make the decisions are happy with the Wizards and the Caps moving to Virginia. Me myself, as a regular guy, live in the suburbs, got a family. I wouldn't matter to me. I would go out there. It's just it's unfortunate, and it's just you lose an NBA team, like that's just a bad way to lose it. That's not
Yeah.
good. It's just not good.
And full disclosure, the CKA Save Project were season ticket holders for the Wizards for almost 10 years, and the pandemic and the income not coming in. That was why we stopped being season ticket holders. They treated us nicely. They did a nice job. The stadium could use some upgrades, but again, if you got a chance to build something from scratch, nobody's like mad at you.
Oh,
Go
and
ahead.
coach, one thing, remember, other teams also don't live in their city. The Jets and Giants, they play in Jersey.
Yeah.
The Commanders,
Golden
they play
State
in
comes to
Maryland.
mind. They moved to San Francisco from
Yeah,
Oakland, and there was a big to do about that. So,
yeah. I mean,
um,
they thrive. They thrive. So
yeah, it's just the cost of doing business these days. So I'm sorry, I'm not outraged. They probably should have let Mayor Bowser have one more shot at it, but quite frankly, she hasn't done a very good job with any of this in terms of any of the teams. So should be interesting. But when we get back, college basketball on the men's side and updated net rankings. Somewhere franchise is upset. We'll be right back on the Eye Coach.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Fowler Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 2, we're going to talk men's college basketball, starting off with this week's net rankings. Arizona at 1, Houston's at 2, BYU's at 3, Purdue's at 4, Baylor's at 5, UConn at 6, Iowa State 7, Marquette 8, Creighton 9, and Alabama 10. Now, again, this is going to be fluid throughout the year, but a couple of quick notes. Clemson is currently the highest ranked ACC team at 11. Virginia is second at 20. And again, as the year goes on and you start playing in conferences, you're going to see teams go up, teams go down. I have no problem with the AP or the coaches' polls. Things will shake out like they usually do. Will, any thoughts about this week's net ranking?
I have no problem with these rankings. It's just as you transition, it's hard to see different teams that you don't normally see. Alabama, you're starting to see them. BYU, Iowa State, Houston. When I was growing up, it was like Syracuse, Duke, Maryland. And it was like the blue bloods. But this is good seeing the parity, man. So I love it. So all the parity that people talked about, we're seeing it right now. So I like it.
Right in front of you, right in front
Yep.
of you. All right. So Michigan, Jawan Howard is back on the bench as Michigan head coach. He's back from he had some health issues. He also had a dust up with the strength and conditioning coach. No punches were thrown, but the two men needed to be separated. Will, is this something we need to pay extra attention to? Jawan Howard seems to have a little bit of a temper. Any thoughts on that?
No, I think when anyone had some kind of heart issue, you want to make sure that who you are is still who you are. I'm sure his doctor is going to talk to him or give him a call. I'm sure his doctor give him a call. Like, I saw you on ESPN. I saw you on CBS when you're getting on. Hey, didn't we talk about that? But he's going to get older. He's going to understand that. I think it's going to be the last of it because trust me, he's probably hearing it more that he was getting angry and worked up than other people. Like, oh, you can't get worked up like that no more. You can't be doing that, coach. You can't do that, man. We need you here. We need you here. So I'm here is going to get a lot more different voices from a different perspective. And I think he's going to calm down. But that's probably the last time we're really going to see something. He's still going to be who he is, but he's going to kind of calm down now.
Michigan hadn't played well this season, so hopefully they can turn that around. There was some court issues this week, Will, that I want to talk about as well. Last week, U.S. District Judge Preston Bailey in West Virginia issued a temporary restraining order against the NCAA, allowing two-time transfers to play immediately. And the immediate aftermath of this, since this temporary restraining order was issued, the majority of men's basketball players who had their waivers denied or were awaiting decisions, they started to play. And now the NCAA has come out and said, we're just going to let this go for the season. We're going to dive into this in future episodes. NIL is a factor, and it's kind of going the wrong way. We tell our student athletes to get it all, but try to get a degree too. And everybody seems to be a JUCO coach, Will. Your roster is year to year, and winning doesn't seem to be the cure anymore. And in college football, I sent you some information about some 5, some 6, some 7-year players. So as we close the segment, Will, I want to give you the final comments. Any thoughts about the double transfers and the aging of college players these days?
On the pro, I like that the NCAA and the courts are trying to figure something out. I don't think it's necessarily working, because they're still using antiquated ideas with now that everyone's saying, like, okay, now we're a corporation. Now we produce entertainment, basketball, football, whatever, and from that we get revenue. And then off that you can make your own money. So the rules aren't even written for that. So they need to actually come away and figure out what's going on and even provide, hey, okay, well, we'll do it this, or we'll put a trust in a way in your name that we can, put money into that joint or something. But it's bad. It's new information, new things with different rules. And just like everything is, like, as it gets better, like the NBA, once it got faster and guys got bigger and stronger, it changes rules. And as the NFL, as guys have gotten faster and stronger, they've changed a lot of the safety rules and things like that. So they're gonna have to change their rules because they're antiquated. They're still thinking like the 70s and 80s, and now they're like, well, let's just do this 2 year thing. No, dude, there's gonna be like somebody's always gonna find a way to get under it. Coach, you already know somebody's gonna find a way to work the system. The system is not foolproof. So just open it up, man, and have a real conversation and see what works, what doesn't work. You know, allow them transfers and say, okay, well, maybe you get two. Maybe you get one and there's no medical joint. Or if you get medical, then that's it. That's the only one you got. So,
Well, I am looking forward to exploring this in a future episode where we can dive deep into it. But many people like yourself do have a problem with the 6 year player playing college basketball. But with that being said, in segment 3, we'll talk about the women's game, and USC is in the rankings. We'll tell you where we get right back on the Hot Coaches Podcast.
The CKA SAVE Project is an industry leader in advocating for student-athlete, academic, and athletic needs. Through academic and athletic enrichment, the CKA SAVE Project is on the forefront of the issues facing 21st century student-athletes. As student-athletes continue to struggle to find a better balance between academic and athletic success, the CKA SAVE Project offers academic and athletic services to support student-athlete academic success, including academic skills assessment, academic and athletic consulting, academic monitoring, academic and athletic workshops. For more information or to schedule a free consultation, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Hot Coaches Podcast in segment 3. We're going to talk about the women's game. And again, with the women's game, it tends to go to chalk. So let's get with the net rankings. 1, South Carolina. 2, Stanford. 3, Utah. 4, Texas. 5, Notre Dame. 6, Iowa. 7, UCLA. 8, Kansas State. 9, UNLV. And 10, University of Southern California. I do have some bad news for fans of UCLA. Emily Bessoir will be out for the season. She re-injured her ACL. That sidelined her for the 2021-2022 season. I will have some time over the break to really dive into the women's game. Will, congratulations on USC finally getting a little bit of love, man. Any thoughts about the women's game this week?
I still love Juju Watkins, man. Her game is crazy. You got to keep someone, but there's all the women are really good, really good. There's I forgot her name. I think she is maybe Samoan. I mean, she's going to Utah, and she's just like a cold dog. She's a cold. I forgot her name. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. But if we could look up her name, she is a cold dog. I like her. I like her a lot. She can hit the three. She's always in the paint. I like it. I like her game. So Utah.
Yeah.
Catch
I'm looking forward to just having some extended time to watch basketball. WNBA draft lottery. So the WNBA draft lottery is 4 teams, fans. Indiana came out with the number 1 pick. So that's back-to-back picks. The Sparks have the 2nd pick. The Mercury, who need a lot of help, have the 3rd pick, and the Seattle Storm has the 4th pick. The odds-on favorite to be the number 1 pick, although she does have eligibility left, is Caitlin Clark. So Caitlin Clark being paired up with Aaliyah Boston, that kind of gives me some pause, man. I think that'll work. And it looks like people are talking about Paige Beckers going to Phoenix and being that transition with Diana Taurasi. We'll have time to talk about it, but Will, if you had the number 1 pick on the WNBA draft, would you take Caitlin?
Oh yeah, Caitlin Clark, man, definitely for sure. She's a shooter. Can't teach that. That's God given. So can't teach that. That's God given. So she's definitely special. But all the ladies definitely on that list, especially Paige Buckets, would be a great addition to my team. But I'm taking Caitlin.
Well, speaking of UConn with Paige, they continue to have injury problems. And one of the things that I would think about is What are y'all strength and conditioning programs like? Because sophomore forward Ayanna Patterson will miss the rest of the season after knee surgery this week. Coach Gino Ariema said she's been dealing with patellar tendonitis since high school. She decided with the team's medical staff to have surgery to take care of the condition. Um, Jiminy Crickets, it just, I'm wishing UConn the best with that, but they are having an injury problem. And that's one of the things that I would think about is how's the strength and conditioning program? Because it seems to be, it's a lot of bad luck for one team. Any thoughts on UConn before we transition out, sir?
Yeah, they're gonna have to kind of eventually at some point move on. The whole Geno is the whole program. Everything's gonna have to move out. People are gonna have to get new ideas, new concepts of physiology and things like basketball. They'll still get the recruiting that they get, so I think they're not gonna lose that much because he's still gonna be a big figurehead in the program. But yeah, I think they have a good time to kind of transition gracefully if they do it now, and don't wait until the way end. Yeah, don't do it. Don't go out a legend, call it a day, say I'm going to be an advisor, and they can transition and do it gracefully. So I think that's what happened.
All right, so fans, we're going to take a holiday break over the next 2 weeks. We want to give everybody involved in the show, especially our super producer, Kelly, a well-deserved vacation. We'll be back on the air January 10th. We will be in the heart of conference play at that time. And we'll also be in the heart of NBA play. Any predictions you want to give that fans can check on over the next 2 weeks?
Keep your eye on St. John's, man. They're gonna figure it out. They're gonna figure it out. They're gonna get a nice little run, and then you guys will see us in the tournament later in March for sure. And then with the NBA, man, you'll see teams will start to turn it up a little bit. Guys start to get back. I know Kyrie is kind of rehabbing since he gets back. Dallas is playing a little better. Unfortunately, Phoenix has been hurt for the Beal. He was out now for I think 2 months or something like that. But yeah, they're gonna start turning up too, man, because I think now the tournament juices got guys ready to go for the playoffs. So it's gonna be exciting. Next 2 weeks should be totally different. Totally different. Who knows? The only thing that we know is gonna be the same is Draymond will be same Bama he is. So.
Well, for the Eastern Conference, I'm going to take an extra look at the Nets and the Hawks and see what directions they go in. I like both of their coaches. I don't like their roster. I think Brooklyn's got a better roster than Atlanta. So I'm going to take a look at that. In the West, I'm taking a look at Memphis and OKC. Can OKC stay in the top 6? And can Memphis start a run? In terms of college, see how the Blue Bloods do, see if they can get back in the grind. And that's in both the men's and the women's games. So looking forward to some time off, spending some time with family. Enjoy your New Year's. Please be safe out there. Old man ain't having no party. So stay safe out there. And we will see on behalf of Captain for Life, Will Cotton. I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watch the AI Coaches podcast, and we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
The AI Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.